So to get us started, we're going to do just a quick revision of what we would have covered so far in chapter 6.1, web page design. So some brief questions. Um, the first question is, what do we use to create a web page? What language do we use to create a web page?
HTML.
HTML, very good. So, what is HTML now? Hypertext markup language, very good. Next question. The codes in the HTML, the language, what are they called?
Tags.
Tags, very good. Um, let's see. What do we use to view a web page?
Browser.
A browser. Anybody else? Everybody agree on that? Correct. A browser is the correct answer. What are some common browsers that we have? What are some common browsers that you use?
Microsoft Edge,
Good.
Chrome,
Good. The Apple.
Safari.
Good. Good. So those are some examples there. Now, um, what is a URL?
Uniform Resource Locator.
Good. But what is it?
Is the blue thingy that is take you to the website web page. Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody agree? Anybody disagree?
The blue link, right? I think it's the yeah. It takes you from one location to the other when you tap on it.
Okay. Anybody else? What is the URL? So we're talking about dear Atavia. That is called a
The hyperlink. Yeah, I just realized
right.
it's hyperlink. Yeah.
That is the hyperlink. So what now is a URL?
Sir is basically where you gotta type in to find the website.
Good. You're getting close. So what would you call that now? What some other terms you would use to describe that? When you're locating something, what do you say? Or what do you call location?
Search.
The web address. Good. That's one term that we can use.
The web link.
The web link. Good. So the URL, Uniform Resource Locator, is basically the address of the web page, the address of the website. That is the location of the website. So it's going to have a form of www. This www part indicates that it is on the internet, and then google.com is going to be the name of that website. So this entire string of characters is the URL. So URL, address, web address, web link, those are all terms. Link, those are all terms that you can use interchangeably. Um, what is the difference between a web page and a website? Chelsea?
A website.
The website has multiple web pages.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Continue.
Meaning a web page only has a single theme that's showing.
Or a single page.
And a web page can also be called a website.
Good, very good. A web page can also be called a website. So, a website is going to have multiple pages, and a web page is basically going to be one page. So, website is going to be multiple, and a web page is just going to be one page. Good. So, anybody remember the categories of a website? What are the categories?
Entertainment.
I didn't hear that clearly.
Entertainment.
Okay, that's the type. Those are some of the types of websites that we have. We're looking at the categories of websites. They have some general categories and then they branch off to types.
E-commerce.
E-commerce, good.
So dynamic.
Dynamic,
So static.
static, good. And the web application and so on. So those are the categories. Those are like the main categories. So it's like how in computer we have hardware and software, and then we branch off with different types of hardware and different types of software. You can say those are the categories of websites, and the types of websites would fall under those categories. Like for example, the the social networking websites, that type, social networking, that would fall under dynamic because it's constantly changing, constantly updating, and so on. Good. When it comes to planning your website, what is the first step?
Sir, to decide the purpose of your website, like what you want it to do.
Very good. Purpose. So the purpose could include what you want to do and something else.
So
Already-
who you're targeting?
Right. Who you're targeting. Very good. So the purpose basically has two parts. What are you doing? What are you doing it for? And who are you doing it for? Who are you creating it for? So after you have your purpose, what do you look at next?
Your content, sir?
What will be in it? Your content.
Your content. Very good. So now you look at your content. What pictures, what graphics, what posters, what videos do you want to put on your website? 3, what comes next?
How to organize it.
Good. How to organize those contents there. And 4,
There's something a link.
yes, you're close. Yes, you're close. Very close. What kind of link?
Web pages.
Something link.
Hyperlink.
Hyperlink is one. But there's a type of link that we use as hyperlink.
Navigation.
Navigational links. So we plan the navigation of our website. Very good. So we plan how to navigate the website now. So we got the content, we organize the content, and now we have to plan how persons are going to navigate to the different content. Good. So after that now, what do we look at? After you finish navigating, you put your hyperlinks, what do we look at next? Color theme. No, that's gonna be around the content organizing navigation stage. That's more of designing. So you say basically you're finished, but you're gonna look at some other aspect that's going to have a effect on your website, how persons get to use it. Start at E.
Sir, economy?
Economy. So how affordable or how practical it is it for a person to be able to use your website? Can they afford to use it? And then 6, the last thing.
There is
Go ahead.
says a security.
Security. Good. So that's the last step there, ensuring that your website is secure. If you have any sensitive data, any personal information for your customers, you need to ensure you are protecting your website. So these are some of the major areas that we covered in that chapter. So if you realize that you didn't know some of those, ensure you go over back the chapter or you watch back the recordings. So let's just go through these questions here. I think it should be similar questions. We can start from the top. We're going to call it you one at a time so that we have an organized answering. We start with Abdur. Abdur, name the application that is used to view a web page.
Browser.
Good. Or also a web browser. Good. 2. Akila, state the name of the universal language that is used to produce web pages.
HTML.
HTML. Good. 3. Anupa, state the names of 3 common browsers. Anupa fall asleep already. Alright, we can come back to her when she wakes up. Indira, please call her and wake her up. Chelsea? Chelsea? Seems everybody's sleeping tonight. Chitra?
Sir, question 3.
Yes.
2 common browsers. Sir, that would be Apple Safari, Firefox, and Microsoft Edge.
Good. One thing to note that if in your exam they ask you to name softwares or to, because it can basically be multiple choice questions, be careful with choosing names or writing names because sometimes they might expect you to put the full name. So for example, with certain software you won't want to just say Windows. You would want to say Microsoft Windows, and then you might want to say which version. Microsoft Windows 10, Microsoft Windows XP, or the same for Office. You don't just want to say Office. You say Microsoft Office. So for browsers, you would say Google Chrome. That's the full name. Microsoft Edge. Mozilla Firefox. That's the complete name there. I think they have the complete names here. Yeah. Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Microsoft Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Opera, Apple Safari. So ensure you use the full names whenever you're asked to give an example of a software. So if you're going to use Mac OS, then that's going to basically be Apple Mac OS. I think sometimes they would usually accept just Mac OS. But still, it's better to be safe. Apple Mac OS, Apple iOS, and so on. Good. 4. Indira, suggest 2 ways in which a user can open and locate a web page.
Sir, URL, using URL and sir, hyperlinks.
Okay. So the URL, I think I didn't mention that when we were looking at when we were talking about URL. So URL and the hyperlink, you can say they're basically the same thing. They're not in all cases, but you can say they're the same because you use the URL. We said that the URL is the name of the website. So if you look at it, it's actually the link that you can click on that can take you to the website. So the URL and the hyperlink, you can say they're like one and the same, but depending on their location, they're basically termed differently. The URL is going to be at the top here in the address bar. Like for example, if we go to Google, it's going to be in the address bar. But a hyperlink now, that's going to be on the page, but you can still say that this is a URL, the www.google.com. But this Google here that my cursor is on, that there is a hyperlink. You won't say it's a URL because you're not really seeing the URL, but in the background, it actually has the URL. Here's notes. So if you notice what I just did, I right click on Google and I copy link and I'm going to paste it in here. And notice the URL is actually behind the link. So it's kind of one and the same. So the answer to that question, URL and hyperlink, they're basically going to refer to the same thing. So that's basically one way that you can access or locate a web page, hyperlink and URL. But there's another way that you can locate a web page, and you guys actually use it on a daily basis. I actually just used it. Anybody know what I'm talking about? So it starts with S. I just used it.
Sir, the search engine.
The search engine. That is correct. The chapter actually covered it, and that's an important piece of software that you should remember. Where covers it? Either way, the search engine is a software, online software that you use to search for URLs and hyperlinks, mainly URLs. So this here is the Google search engine. So this is the other method that you would use to open or locate a web page. So you have URL, you have hyperlink, and you have the search engine. So please remember how the search engine functions. It allows you to search and locate URLs. or you can say web pages. Now, so question number 5, that's going to be Liverpool. Explain the association between a web page and a website. How are they associated?
Sorry, the difference between the two, or
You just describe it. Let me hear what you're thinking.
all right. So a web page is like um multiple websites combined. Um, while
Start over. Think about
uh,
what you're saying.
uh, so website is like mm, so like a website is like one document. No, sorry. A web page is like one document, while a website is like a collection of web pages.
Good. Now you're on the right page. So the name alone, web page, should in itself give you the idea that it is a single page. So once you hear web page, you should already be thinking it is a single page. So if you compare that to the term website now, you should be thinking that a website is made up of web pages. Alright, so question number 6, Sahid. State the categories of websites where users must log in to edit content. The category,
Dynamic, sir?
dynamic. So that's going to be a dynamic. So remember we talked about that earlier. There's a difference between the category and the type, but in some cases they might accept type as category, so it can be a little confusing. So just take note of the difference. But a dynamic website allows you to log in and make your edit to the contents and so on. Now 7A, Shania. State the general purpose or category of website that is used for online purchases. Shania? Seems you don't have Shania also. Shaniza?
Sir, e-commerce.
E-commerce, yes, that is correct. So that's going to be e-commerce. What is the name of the website that is used for a small device? Abdur?
Sorry, static.
Static. Okay, we're looking at the type. Chelsea, are you with us? Miss Chelsea Hudson? Akila?
Yes, sir.
7B, the category of website used for small devices.
Mobile.
Mobile, that is correct. So that's going to be mobile. And lastly, socially interactive with others, Atavia.
Wait, sir.
Uh-huh.
So it's a category of website, so it can be a mobile website.
Yeah, general purpose or category. That's why I say it's a little we can say a little tricky in that this question is actually asking for the different types instead of the categories. It's asking for these types here.
Oh, this way it catch me.
Yeah. So that's why earlier I said to them, you gotta be careful with those. Like I noticed it asks for general purpose. So that's like the type. What's the purpose of the website? So that's why online purchases is used for e-commerce, small devices mobile, and socially interacting with others. What's the name of that website? Anyone?
Sorry, social media then?
Social media, I think, or social networking. Yeah, social networking. Social networking, community building. Um, Good. We basically asked, we're looking at the stage three features that should be considered when planning a website. What are three things we need to look at? When planning a website, what do we need to look at? We just looked at it.
Organization.
Organization as one,
So economy.
economy, one more,
For the purpose, security,
the purpose, security, and the content. Good. So we've completed those questions. So we've completed the entire chapter here. So now we're gonna move on to actually designing a website, designing a web page. What goes into designing a web page? What are the different elements? What are the principles? What are the rules that we basically must follow to have a presentable website? And then you guys are gonna do these exercises for next week class. Next week we're gonna have you doing these exercises practically, so ensure you practice so that we can have a smooth class next week. You guys heard what I said, or was breaking up?
No, sir, we heard you.
Okay.
We hear you.
Alright, good. So let me start 6.2, designing a web page. First paragraph. Abdur, you can start the reading.
As you start your, you think about who will be interested in the web pages and consider the layout and links to other pages. Remember that every web page is different, but most have certain features that are common and to all web pages. There are many online websites built that offer free design features or templates so that users spend less time formatting and more time focusing on the content. A general layout of a web page is shown in figure 6.2.
Good. So as we already covered in 6.1, when we're thinking about creating a website, we think about the purpose, who's going to be interested in it, the content, and then how we're going to organize, how we're going to lay out, how we're going to set up our navigational links, how we're going to connect the pages together, all of those things we think about. So after that, now we have to decide what we're going to put on the different pages. So if you can remember when we were looking at planning the organizing of our plant shop, we were branching off with say fruits, and then vegetables, and then underneath we have the different types of fruits, and then we have the different types of vegetables, and so on. So those can be individual pages. So you have to determine now what content you're gonna put on the different pages, and what is gonna be common between the pages. Why we say what is gonna be common? For example, this relates to the navigational links. For example, when we go to CXC's website. So on CXC's website, remember these are the navigational links that you see at the top here, so that if we go under one of the examinations, and no matter how much we go through, we're always going to see these common links at the top here, so that the home icon or the logo can take us back to the home page. Or even if we are on any page, for example, this page on this subject, we can still easily navigate to another page, any other page that we want. So those are things you need to take into consideration, that even though a web page is going to have different content, what is going to be common among all of the pages? What features are going to be common? And especially that navigational link, that is going to be common among all pages. It should be common so that you can have persons navigate your website. So those are the basic principles you should keep in mind. Now, when it comes to building a website, or when it comes to making a website, there are basically three methods that we are going to look at. I'm not saying there's only three methods. We are only going to use three methods, or look at three methods. So the first method is HTML. So HTML is how persons would have first developed web pages using that markup language. But for CSEC purposes, you do not need to learn HTML. So that is why for your SBA, you won't be using HTML, and for learning purposes, we won't go in depth into HTML. We're still going to cover some of the basic codes, the basic tags in HTML as to how to use it. Now, what you do need to learn is Microsoft Word. That is one way you can create a website, and that's one way that you need to learn of how to create a website. And in addition to Microsoft Word, we also have website builders. So I abbreviate that WB. So those are the three methods we are going to look at for developing websites. HTML is not required for CSEC, but we're still going to look at it. It's still good knowledge to have. But Word and the website builder, it's important for you to know how to make the websites using those two. So let me give you guys some example of how these two software actually work when it comes to developing a website. So for example, Microsoft Word. Let me show you how simple it is to develop a website. If I'm going too fast, let me know. So basically, the first thing you need to do when you're creating a website is to create a file and to save that file. So this principle is for both HTML and Microsoft Word. It's basically one of the fundamental things you should do. If you're going to use HTML or if you're going to use Word, create a file first. So you save the file, and notice what you're going to save it as. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to save it on the desktop. And notice I clicked on the drop down box, the save as type. So I'm changing the type of file. It's not saving as a doc file. I'm going to save it as a web page. So I'm going to save it as a .html, or in some cases it's going to be a .htm. So I'm going to select that, and notice it changed to doc1.htm. So I'm going to save that, and if you notice, it actually changed the view. Your Microsoft Word has three views at the bottom. It has a web layout view, it has a print view, and it has a read mode. The print view is the view you would normally use when you're in a Microsoft Word to type your document. But if you want to see it, for example, how it would appear on a website, you can use that web layout view. So let me go to the folder now, and on the desktop I created that new folder, and notice we have the file here. There's a reason why I saved it as a web file, as a HTML file, because when you're going to open this web page, you simply double click on it and it opens the browser that has that it opens the browser for that page there. Now, how do we add content? So we basically actually just created a website. We just created a web page, because notice I just opened that page on this browser here. It's actually that simple to create a web page by just saving that one single file. But obviously we need information on our website, on our web page. So in Microsoft Word, how do we add content? Well, you basically type, this is my first web page. Hello, how are you? And you save that. And if you still had your web page open and you actually refresh, notice that information came up here in my browser here. So if I do some changing up, I make it bigger, add some fancy design, do all of that, change the font. Yeah, that's about it. And save once again, and we go over to our browser and refresh. Notice those fonts, those formatting were reflected inside of my browser. So notice how simple it actually is to create a web page in Microsoft Word. So if we actually center this information here, I'm going to zoom out a bit, center that information there, and save, go back to my browser, refresh. That looks a little better there now, to have that in the center there. So it's that simple to create a web page. You guys ever thought it was that simple? How do you guys feel about that?
Feel more smart now, sir.
So that's actually one of the reasons why you don't really need to learn HTML, because it's that simple to create a website. But notice something, even though you were simply typing in Microsoft Word, if we check the web page, so if we go to settings, no, not settings, it's more tools, and we go to developer tools. So notice here we have the HTML for my website, for my web page. We have the HTML here. So if you can, not sure if you're gonna see it, how well you guys are gonna see. Oh, good. So I'm going to show you. Good. So look at this part here. If you notice, we have some words with some double arrows. So notice head has a double arrow. This head here has a double arrow. Body has an arrow here, the body, and it actually ends at the end here. We have another body here. We have an HTML. Anybody want to make a guess what you think that is?
The tags?
Exactly. Those are the tags for the HTML. So that's actually how you can tell them apart from the other information in the HTML. They would have those double arrows, left and right arrows around them. So it's like how in when we were doing spreadsheet, the functions had a name. So you can say the tags are like the functions. So we have different tags performing different functions. So we got the body tag, we got the HTML tag, we got the head tag, and if we look for the information that I just typed, how can I scroll to the right? I would like to scroll to the right, sir.
Sir, try zoom out back.
Oh, very good. I'm looking, or I can bring this out. I can do that also. I'm looking for, it's supposed to be somewhere better tag. Where is it? Where is it?
Sir, you need Wi-Fi for refresh the page and see your website, right?
No. Remember, everything is stored on your computer. So you can
Oh,
actually,
so
so you're editing it on your computer. Remember, it's just a file that I created on the
yeah, but
computer.
like in the browser, you you need Wi-Fi to view it in the browser.
No, you don't need Wi-Fi. Because if you notice, when I saved this file here, a folder was actually saved with it. So inside of this folder has the additional files that is required for you to open that browser. So the code, the HTML code is inside of this HTML file, and any additional information it needs, it's going to be inside of this folder here. This is how all websites basically work. If you look at a website on basically a server, like for example Facebook website, it's going to look similar to this here. Or even if, say for example, you go to google.com and we just search for something. So you ever right click and see the option to save as, and you can actually save a web page. If we actually save this web page here, let me show you what's going to happen. So let me go in this folder here. So I'm going to save this web page. It has to download. Okay, so it finished. And notice it downloaded that HTML file, Pokemon Center Google Search.html. So when I click on it open that same page, and in the folder has all of the information for this page. So if you were actually to take off your Wi-Fi and you double click on this file here, it's actually going to open the page for you. It might not open it exactly how it's supposed to open, because it's going to need the internet to do a little more fine-tuning with the formatting, but it's going to show you the as best as it could all of the information. So whenever you're working on your website, you technically don't need internet, because all of the files are going to be inside of this folder here. We can talk
Oh.
we can talk about all of that more later on, because all of that is a part of learning Word, how to use Word as your web page, and how to use HTML. But this is the basic principle. You have a HTML file that has the HTML code. If you were to actually, oh, this does what it was supposed to do. If you right click on this HTML file that we created here, and you open it with Notepad, notice even though we just had text inside of it, we have HTML tags inside of that Microsoft file there. So there's a lot more information. We're supposed to have open with, choose, no. It's right here. So you guys can download this software, Notepad++. It's a free software, and it allows you to basically read the HTML, look at the HTML a lot more better. So notice the tags are colored so that you can differentiate them. And what I'm basically looking for is the information that I would have typed, but for some reason I'm not seeing it. The body. Oh, look, it's right here. So this is what I was looking for all the time. So notice my hello. This is my first website. How are you? So why I wanted to show you this is quite a few reasons. It's quite a lot of technical reasons. One, this is how HTML works. HTML, you think of it like if you're formatting your content. You have a website that you're going to put content on. When I say content, I'm referring to text, I'm referring to images, I'm referring to video, all of those things, they're content. So in the HTML, you are going to put those contents. You're going to put what text you want, what pictures you want, and videos, whatever the case may be. Now, the HTML, the purpose of it now is to basically format how they are going to be presented on the web page. So that is why if you look at the name, it's hypertext markup language. So basically it is marking the different locations, marking the different positions, marking how the information, how the data is supposed to be, how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to position. So when it comes to HTML, there are tags that basically, so for example, this P tag that you're seeing right now, this tag with this P, that is a paragraph tag. So basically when you want to create a paragraph, you put your information in there. So that's why hello is inside of this P tag. So if you notice, all of my paragraphs here, all of my sentence are in a paragraph tag. So that's going to tell the browser to put it in a paragraph. We also have body tags. So the website is going to have like a body. So remember, your website is like a document. So that's what you got to remember. So that's like how a document has a header section. It has the, what do you call it? It has the body section, and then it has the other sections that you put in the rest of content. It has the header, it has the footer, it has the sides, and so on. So it's the same for your web page, and the tags basically say where the content is going to go. So that is why basically those information appeared in the paragraph tag there. So going back to what I was showing you guys, um, what I've basically shown you so far is that to create a web page, you basically create a file, you save the file as a HTML file. Once you've done that, you've just basically created a web page. The next step is for you to add your content. So you position, this is in Microsoft Word. You type your text, you put your image. So if we wanted to put an image, we can basically copy and paste. And once again, we save. We go to our browser that was using it. Let me close off that and we refresh and we have our content. So doesn't this look like a nice website already? We can add some nice background color and we got a nice website here already. So it's that simple to create a website with Microsoft Word. Are you guys following so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are the rest of you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. So that is the basics for using Microsoft Word. You create that file, you put your content, and you continue to view the file that you would have created. So you guys can even try it on your own. Now, what I was also showing you was that if you go to the developer tools, you're going to see the HTML tags. So that's why I branched off here. Because even though we only typed in text here, remember a website, a web page is made of HTML tags, HTML codes. So it still has to have HTML. And what your Microsoft Word did was actually convert everything into HTML for you. You didn't have to do that. So that's why I'm showing you this here, because that Word document that you created does have HTML. And I just showed you using this software here how it basically formats using that HTML. So later on we're going to learn how to use HTML more and how to use Microsoft Word more also. So in the meantime, you guys can download this software. I think there's a Mac version also. It's useful for when you're using HTML to design. And you can even use it for checking your Microsoft Word. Alright. Now the other method, are you guys following so far in the HTML and the Word before I move on to the other one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so as mentioned, the HTML is not so important for CSEC. The Word is, so you have to practice using that. You have to know how to use the various features and so on. That's what this entire chapter is about, Microsoft Word. And the last method is a website builder. Now, a website builder is a online tool. So we have quite a few of them. Wix is one of them. So website builders. Can you give me a list? Why is so much ads showing up? Either way. So this here is a list of some common website builders that we have. We have Wix, we have Weebly, we have Site123, Strikingly, WordPress, Jindo, Simple Site, Google Sites. They're all free website builders. And for your SBA, you're actually going to be using one of them to create your website. Whichever one you use, that is up to you. But just note that just like how we have different software, so like how we have different Microsoft, the different Office programs, we have the Google Doc, we have Microsoft Word, we have other one by OpenOffice. So each website builder is going to have different features, different tools, different interfaces. So it's basically using one that you're going to be comfortable with and that might have the tools that you would need. So, but we're going to actually use a website builder to make your SBA. We're not going to use Word because Word is going to be a little more technical, and especially when it comes to sharing it with CSEC, it's much more easier. And today persons use website builders. A lot of the websites that you see in the world today were developed by a website builder. So how do you use a website builder? Well, first you basically pick a website builder that you want. So I'm using Wix, and what you need to do is basically look for the option to create a site. So the option is right here for me to create a site. Okay. So notice they gave us this page here. What kind of website are you creating? Why did they give us this page? Any idea?
Because they need to know what templates to give you.
Good, very good reason. And what does that lead to? What aspect of the planning does that lead back to?
Color, size, and I can't remember the word.
Before that, we're at the first stage,
The purpose.
the purpose.
Purpose.
So that's why it's asking you this here. What website are you creating basically? What is the purpose of your website? Is it an online store? Is it a portfolio? Is it a blog? Is it a technology company? What are you creating? So we're going to create a technology company. Technology tutorials next. So, but as Akila said, she is correct. What they're going to do is give you a bunch of sites that are going to work with the purpose. So what these website builders do, they have a bunch of templates. So just like how Microsoft Word has a bunch of templates that you can choose from to create your documents, the website builders also have different templates. So this one here is giving me two options. The first one is to just go straight ahead into our website, but we want to select a template. So I'm going to select edit template for it to show me the templates that it has. So it's going to show me the different templates. And basically I just have to scroll through and pick one that I like. So this one caught my interest. So I'm going to edit this one here. So you just have to wait now for it to load. Great. So it's still loading, and if you notice, Ramai said each website builder is going to look different, it's going to operate different, but they're going to have some similarities basically as to how they function. They're gonna have different tools that um, allows you to edit different parts of the website. Um, you can have a theme manager where you can basically change the various colors of your website. So notice I can change the color, the overall theme of my website with just one click. What else? So I can change the background if I want. Just have a more plain background. Good. Maybe change up the color. We want that's a little better. And then we can basically add different elements. We can add text, we can add images, we can add different buttons. So it's basically now for you to look at the various options that you have to incorporate what you need to develop your website. So anything on the website you can basically move to another location. So if you want to move this title here, if you want to move this text, move that, move this, move that. If you want to add a link, they should give you an option to add a link. And I'm using pages. Okay, so this is how you can link the various pages together. The About Us page. So notice we're on the About Us page. We're on the Services page now. And if you notice at the top here, they automatically gave you your navigational links. And we have a home option here. Now, they would also give you the option to preview. So say you made some changes and you want to see what it looks like, you can preview the website so that you're in a mode like if you're using the website. So you can click on the various options and navigate the website now. It's a nice background. And you can navigate and check out your website to see how it looks. And there's also a mobile version. So you can click on that mobile version and you're going to be able to see how it looks on a mobile device. So what do you guys think about that? Fancy? You ever thought it was that easy to create a website?
No, sir.
So basically anybody today can create a website because all of these services, they're free. Anybody can have access to them. But as you can see, it's just about learning how to use the various tools to add the various elements to have an effective website. So that's why in the first place, you should look for an appropriate theme so that you don't have to do much editing to the website. Look for an appropriate theme, look for an appropriate color, an appropriate color scheme, and so on, that you don't have to do much editing to it. It's just to add your content and you basically have a good overall website. All right, any questions before we move off of the website builder? Alrighty then. So, as mentioned, we have three methods of building a website we're going to look at. HTML, Word, and Website Builder, and I basically showed you a brief overview of all three of them. As we continue to learn more about Webpage, we're going to get into more detail as to how to create each one of them. So if you weren't following anything we looked at, we're going to get more into detail later on. For now, we're just looking at the principles, we're looking at the overall, basically overhead view of everything. So if you notice in this diagram here, we have the general layout of a website, of a web page. And remember, a web page is basically like if you're looking at a document, like if you're looking at a Word document. So it has the header section, it has the footer section, it has the left sidebar, the right sidebar, and the main section is that content section, where it's going to have all your information. It's going to have your pictures, your paragraphs, whatever information you're sharing with persons that are going to visit your website. Now, this is not an absolute layout that you must follow. It's like a general layout that you can have. You have a header section and certain information goes there. You have a footer section, certain information goes there. Now, I would say a header and a footer, they are needed on a website, and same also for content. The left and right sidebar are not so important. I think Ministry of Education's website has left and right sidebars. So notice this, the top here is the header section, where you're seeing the logo, the name of the website, the navigational links, all of that is the header. If you scroll all the way down, there is additional information. It's going to be your footer area. And in the center is the content. So notice all the content in the center. Pictures, videos, images, text, and so on, articles, animation. And on the left and the right, notice we have the sidebars. We have the left sidebars with some links, and also the right sidebar has some links also. So they follow that overall layout of creating a page. But as I mentioned, not all would need to follow it, because I think CXC's website, it doesn't have, if you look at the main page here, there is no left and right sidebars, just content going down the center. If we go over to another subject, so here we have a left sidebar. So notice we have a left sidebar with the different subjects, and then we have the main content area in the center here. So this is just a general layout that you would follow when designing your web page. But we're going to look at now, what information do you put into those different sections? So firstly, we have our header. Akila, can you read that for us?
The header displays the name of the website, webpage, blog name, logo, or company name. The name is usually placed at the top left corner of each webpage. The header also provides a short statement or phrase that explains the purpose of the webpage. If you are on a webpage that is not the main page, clicking on the header takes the user back to the main page.
Good. So what goes into the header? Well, the name of the website goes into the header. So if we look back at Ministry of Education, we have that name in the header, Ministry of Education. And if you think back to your letters that you would have created for your SBA, it's similar to this here. You have a letterhead, and that's basically what you're creating for your website. A header that has the name of the website. It's going to have the web page name, a blog name, or a logo. So notice we have a logo here, and we can have the company name also. Well, it all depends on what's the purpose of the website. Who are we creating it for? If it's a company, we can have the company name and the company logo. And if the company has a slogan or something like that, we can add it in or not. So that is usually going to be in the top left corner. So notice it's in the top left. If you look at CSECO also, it's in the top left. CXC, Caribbean Examination Council. Now, next to those headers, now you can have a short statement or a phrase explaining what is the purpose of your website. So, CXC doesn't have a phrase, they just have the name of their organization, Caribbean Examination Council. I guess that in itself kind of explains the purpose. But if you notice, Ministry of Education, eliminating illiteracy, modernizing education, and strengthening tolerance as their purpose as an organization. So all of that goes into the header, and the header, not usually, but you should always make it so that it takes you back to the home page. So whenever you click on this header here, it should always take you back to the home page. That's another purpose of having that header there. So any header takes you back to the home page. Alright, so what about the other areas now? We have the sidebar, the content area, and the footer. Anupa, can you read that for us?
The left or right sidebar includes a navigational bar or menu that shows links to each of the major sections of the web page. The content area contains the most important paragraphs or images on the web page. The information that you can place here should attract the visitor into reading more and staying on the web page or website. The footer should include any other information that is important and should be included on all web pages. It should include how recently the content was placed there, any contact information, and copyright, legal, or privacy notices.
Very good. So next we have the left and right sidebar. What is their purpose? Their purpose is to have navigational links or navigational menus. So just like how the top, the header is going to have navigational links, the sidebars can have additional menus and options and so on that can take you to different pages, to different articles, even to articles and pages off of the page. So maybe another website, I think for example this one, no, that's still on ministry's website. So depending on what they have presently. So that navigational area or navigational bar is going to take you to different pages, different web pages. You're going to have links to take you to different web pages. Now the third part of your website, one of the most important area of your website is the content area. This is where persons are going to be looking at the most. So this is where you're going to put all your pictures, all of your paragraphs, all of your videos, your animation, whatever content you have, it is going to be in that content area. And it's not just about putting content, but ensuring that your content attracts whoever is looking at your page. So if you notice, for example, Ministry of Education page, their content is a picture, a video, another video, and then some nicely colored images. And since not a lot of text, like for example, if you go upon Wikipedia, now Wikipedia is basically educational. So it's gonna look something like this here with a bunch of text. Now if you were creating a website for um, like if Ministry of Education created their website like this here, like how Wikipedia is designed here, then it might not be that appealing to persons that go on their website, when parents and when students go on the website. So that is why you have to think about your audience. Who is going to come up on your website? Who is going to look at the content? And you think, what can you put on it that will attract persons? And today, pictures, videos, bright images, nice pictures, they attract persons. And they're going to want to know, what is this article here about these children here? So that can capture a person's attention and make them want to stay on your website. So it's about putting content and how you're going to put that content to attract persons. Now the last area is your footer. Your footer is going to have additional information that basically you cannot put in your header. It can go at the bottom there. So for example, for Ministry of Education, they have their address, they have all of their contacts, they have their opening and closing time, and they also have different links to different pages also that you might be interested in. And if you look at the bottom here, it has when how up to date is the content. So if you notice, we have 2021 at the bottom here, which means that the content on the website would have been updated in the year 2021, which is this year. So that is basically how you can know if a website is updated. If you look in that footer section and you see, for example, it's 2020 or maybe 2018 or 2015, then that should indicate to you that the website is outdated. The last time information was updated on this website was since 5-6 years ago. Have you guys ever noticed that at the bottom of the website? It has an older year.
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you ever see that, so you're gonna come across it maybe if you're doing research. So when you're doing research, look at that also, because that can determine if what you are putting in your assignments in your SBA, if it is updated content, if it was the latest content. When you see that year at the bottom there. So it's going to have additional content. It's going to have contact information, copyright, and legal notices. So CSEC, Ministry of Education's website, all rights reserved. So all the contents that is on this website, they have all rights to the content. You cannot misuse the content without their permission. You cannot use it without their permission. So they're reserving all rights to it. So that is the general layout of a website there. Now we're going to look at the other area, web page content. And Octavia, could you read for us?
You should really create a web page based on a topic that you know something about. If this is the first web page you've created, do not make it too large or ambitious. Some ideas for web pages could include advertising a trade or business, such as hairdressing, landscaping, or music production. A simple structure will be sufficient to develop your skills at preparing the information for disposal and building the site. Sketch a plan of the website structure to get an idea of what you want to share in Figure 6.3. You can also visit each of the recommended website builders in the syllabus. Each one provides samples of online stores, blogs, businesses, and personal websites.
Good. So when you're thinking of the content that you're gonna put on your website, you have to think of, it's basically the purpose you have to think of before. What is the purpose of your website? And that's going to give you the topic or the idea of your website. Is it for party? Is it for entertainment? Is it for educational games? Is it for posting pictures? So that's how you can know how to design your content, how to lay out your content. So once you have an idea of that now, you would want to sketch a plan of your website. What basically we've been doing so far. Get the overall theme and then branch off with the different categories. So you want to do that for your website. So we have this example here. Um, Remember, each page, each website must have a home page. So that's why it started off with a home page. And then we have the different subcategories. So we have the first layer subcategory, flowers, plants, planting ideas, payment and delivery. So these are basically in line with each other. And then on the flowers, we have potted and garden. Under planting ideas, we have schedule a meeting. Under gardening, we have seeds and seedlings. So for your web page that you're going to develop for your SBA, it's only one page you need to focus on. But that doesn't mean you cannot have multiple pages. What you can do is that even though you're going to put everything on one page, so you're going to put something first and then something after, even though you're going to do that, you can still create your other pages and link those contents to those pages. So you have the main page, the home page with everything on it, but you still create it as though you're making a website. Am I making sense? Are you guys following? I guess I'm not making sense.
You're making sense, and I'm following.
I didn't hear the tequila.
I said I'm following, and it makes sense.
The rest of you following?
Yes, sir.
sir.
All the time.
All right, good, good. So let me see if you guys notice something. When it comes to sketching this plan here, is there a pattern or how should I phrase this question? How did he lay out the different categories or the different topics of the website? Um,
Sir, I guess you could say it's like a family tree,
mhm. So what
whereas
would good? Continue. Let me hear which are you going.
where the home page is like the first thing, and everything else that come after is the descendants, which means they stemming off from the home page. So
Good.
Allen got to do something with the home page.
Good. So in terms of priority or in terms of importance, what would you say about that when it comes to sketching? When it comes to the different topics, how does the priority of certain topics, how does the importance of certain topics determine how you position them on the website? All right, so say for instance, we have the page schedule a visit. So that might mean schedule a visit to the um, to the actual location. Now, is that as important as seeing what type of plants and flowers and planting ideas the website have? Which one has more importance? Or which would a person want to see more than the other?
Sir, the actual plants.
Good. The actual plants, because that's why you're on the website to see the actual plants. So what I'm trying to get at is that when you're sketching the layout of a website, of your website or your web page, you need to also think about what content should come first and what content should come after. What should be more important than the other? Because that leads back to um, attracting your visitor. That leads back to attracting your visitor. So, what you have first can either attract your visitor or basically repel them. They don't want to be on your website anymore. Every time they come on your website, maybe an ad popping up every time. That's not that important. They're not coming to see the ad. Yes, the ad is there because um, you want to make money, but if that's going to come up every time at the top, it's going to affect how persons view your website. And then, so if you have non-important information at the top, and then you have all the important information at the bottom, that's going to affect the overall look of your website. So that is something you need to take into consideration, especially because you guys are going to be putting all your elements on one page. So this is why I brought it up, because you're going to need to think of which has the most importance, and you need to know which should I put first, which am I supposed to put second, third, fourth, and so on. So that is why it's important for you to sketch the layout. When you sketch the layout, you're going to know what are the different parts of your website, and then you're going to know to be able to say that, oh, this is more important than this part. That looking at the various plants, looking at the various flowers is more important than scheduling a visit. Not everybody going on your website wants to visit you. They just want to see the plants. So that is what is more important. So that is what is going to be first, not scheduling the visit. So same for your website, you're going to need to think of that also. All right, so we're going to wrap up here. So far what we looked at, we already looked at the steps that we have to consider, the 7 steps basically that we have to consider. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps that we have to consider when developing our website. And then we looked at the 3 methods that we're going to use to develop a website: HTML, Word, and the website builder. This is a general layout of designing a web page. You don't have to follow it, but especially the header, the footer, and the content. That is the main layout that you would follow. The left and right sidebars, I would say those are optional. You got to remember what should be in each of the layouts. What should be in the header, what should be in the sidebar, what should be in the content, what should be in the footer. And lastly, when you are planning for a website, ensure you sketch a layout for a website so that you get an idea of how the pages are connected to each other, and that can actually help you with organizing and your navigation of your website. All right, do you guys have any questions?
sir, um, just like how Flash was a thing last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
The is considered a website builder or some kind of builder.
I cannot say because I don't know how Flash used to work, but it's possible because remember, it's possible. Well, as I mentioned, I don't know how it worked, but the whatever it created, it was a website that allowed you to play some sort of animation or some sort of game. So
Yeah.
it all depends.
Alright. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think Flash was a content creator. It created Flash content. It wasn't creating the website.
But it would like create content to go on the website.
Right. I think that's more accurate.
Yeah. Alright, cool. Yeah, that's all.
Mhm. All right. If nobody else has any questions, we're gonna close off here for today. Enjoy your night.
You too, sir.
Bye, sir.
Good night.
Bye, sir.